Oh, cool.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're all here. So Jonathan Land and Frida are not can't make it. So we're all here. So my thought is we go around and introduce ourselves, and then we could tell stories afterwards. So Barbara, do you want to start?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, look at that. We're all together. Okay. So I'm Barbara. I'm the oldest of Max and Jenny's grandchildren. I have 4 kids, 1 deceased, and 12 grandchildren. And I guess I'll tell you, I'm 74.
Where are you living?
In Dania Beach, Florida. I
Oh,
live at the beach. Yeah, I love it there.
Oh,
And
nice.
that's it. And I'm retired.
That's
And I don't
nice.
do anything.
And your mother
Oh.
and your mother was?
Rhoda, Jenny's and Max's middle child.
Okay, Laura, do you want to go next?
Oh, yeah, I can. Okay, so I am the youngest of Max and grandchildren, and I'm 54, so I think we're
Wow,
20 years apart.
20 years apart, yeah.
I promise I'm 54. I was born in 1967. And Jerry
your
was
mother looks shocked.
Jerry is my dad. I'm going to say is. We'll talk about him in the present. And we all knew and loved him. So, and I have 2 kids, 21-year-old and an almost 18-year-old. And my husband's somewhere. I don't know. Maybe he'll float by and say, "Call it." No, it's okay. He'll come by. And then, my mom. This is my mom. She made me.
Who's that lady again?
And Joni, I know her, yeah.
And tell the story of how your mom is like on both sides of the family. That's
It's
how they met.
well, Betty should tell that story because it's Betty's.
So Betty's next. Okay, Betty's next.
Okay, we had a wedding. Harvey and I got married. And Joan was on my father's side and Jerry was on my mother's side. So at first, Jerry wanted to bring a date to the wedding. So my mother said, if you're not really serious about this date, at that time, people didn't invite and also. So my mother said, look, unless you're serious with this girl, we can't invite her because a lot of other people, would expect the same thing. So he came to the wedding. Joan was my maid of honor. And he came to the wedding, and fortunately, Joan caught the bouquet, and then she met Jerry there. So their children are really a part of myself and my brother because they're on both sides. And that's how Joan and Jerry met.
But clearly,
They made a great couple.
okay, but people are like, "Oh, that's weird. Your parents are cousins." No, they're from the opposite sides.
Right.
Says they're not related. Okay.
So their children really should look like me, but they don't.
Right. We look exactly.
And Betty, tell us your mother.
What?
Betty, your mother, who was your mother?
My mother was Ida. She
And
was
Ida she was the
Jenny's
youngest?
sister.
Was she the youngest child?
No. Frankie was younger than her.
I didn't know.
Then
that.
I guess her, and then Jenny, I think, and Hilda was the oldest.
Hilda, I remember Hilda, yeah.
Right, she was the eldest, and then I think Jenny came, and then my mother, and then Harry was someplace in the middle.
Harry, and then Frankie, yeah.
Well, I mean, once we introduce ourselves, there's a couple of strange things that I've unearthed. So we can go through that
Tell us
after.
where you live also now.
Excuse me?
Sorry.
Okay, Mary. Mary's next.
Oh, okay. I'm Mary, Mary Beth. I'm the younger of Rhoda's children. I'm the second child. And let's see, I live in Fredericksburg, Virginia, with my husband of almost 53 years.
Wow.
And, I'm 71. And the reason we're here and not in Florida is because of my Lily, my little granddaughter. So that's my story.
And you had one child?
Just one daughter and one grandchild and a son-in-law. That's it.
Okay.
Okay,
now I'm gonna save the burn, start when Sherry and Judy last. Lisa,
I am the daughter of Betty and Harvey. I have a brother, Wayne. I'm 53. And I live in Chappaqua, New York. I have husband Larry. I have 2 kids, 2 boys, just about 22 next week, and 24-year-old. And the youngest one is at University of Michigan, graduating this year. He's going to be moving to Virginia. My older son is living in New York, and I am the granddaughter of Ida and Murray. Oh, that's funny. You call him Murray. 'Cause
Morris,
He was always Morris to us. Anyway,
So what is your relationship with, are you like a double cousin to Lori?
I'm Yes. like, what is it, like a second or third cousin? well,
Or-
first cousin.
But you're from both sides too.
Yeah, but you're from, like, when Wayne visited me a couple of years ago, and people would Wayne's be my like, brother. "Side," I was like, he's from both sides of the family. So
our
yes,
fa-
you're a double cousin too, Lisa.
So do you think your DNA would be more than normal, you know what I mean, than an average cousin?
It is. We discovered that because I found some DNA test stuff that, but anyway, yes, there was somebody who ended up being a double cousin, but I know it's kind of cool, but yeah, anyway.
Okay, so now, and then Sherry and Judy, who would like to go first?
I guess I'll go first. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just have a question.
Your face, wait, we can't see your face. Can you?
Okay, wait, I'm short. Okay, I'm sitting on my knees like when I drive.
Okay.
Oh, stop.
No, but I just have a question. Would it be possible to find out everyone's of the parents, grandparents, Jewish names? Because when I was doing some research and I found them on Ellis Island on the boat, they have Jewish names. And I just would like to correspond their Jewish names with their English names if we could.
Oh.
Judy, didn't we figure that out?
Oh, how interesting.
Wasn't Max Mendel?
Mendel,
Who's Matt? Oh, that's your, okay.
But his birth certificate says Max, doesn't it? We have his birth certificate, but he was born in the United States.
Yeah, but my grandma always called him Mendel.
Mendel. And then
So that
was
was-
Zelda?
Who's he for then?
What's-
Jenny was Zelda.
Zelda.
But didn't we? I thought we had Max's birth certificate, and it actually
Somewhere.
somewhere. I think it said Max. Strangely.
because
Well,
my
that would be his,
Right,
sorry.
my sister Judy, her Jewish middle name is Hinda. So who is Hinda? Who is she named?
Or maybe
after?
Hilda.
With
It
Zelda.
was, because it was after it was an aunt. Grandpa Harry told mommy it was an aunt, so,
So there's a Hilda and she's Hinda.
yes.
And why is she not on our list? What happened to her?
Hilda, wait, but didn't I change it? Somebody did. you-
Yeah, you see, this is the weird,
I have a new.
Look,
I changed it to Hilda. I think you had Zelda or something.
no,
else.
this is the weird thing, is that, hi, I'm Judy, I'm Harry's, my father was Mel. So he was Harry's son, so Sherry and I are their grandchildren. I'm in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I have 2 little boys, and actually one of them is named after my grandpa Harry. And I've met Lori and Joan and Jerry, and unfortunately, I don't know anyone else. Sorry for that.
Well, I met your grandfather, Harry, one time. I went with Grandma Jenny to their house, to their apartment. They lived in a high rise.
On the Lower East
Lower
Side.
East Side, yeah.
Mhm. And they were really more Orthodox
Yeah.
than my grandparents. And I remember, like, on a Saturday, he couldn't work, and he
Yeah.
had a hard time finding work because in New York, you pretty much have to work Saturdays, I do remember meeting him and his wife.
Okay. So, Judy, did you figure out who Hinda is?
Okay, so I've been like, I fall down the rabbit hole when I do like all this stuff. And so I found a ship manifest that has an Etel and a Hinda. And they both came here to their father, Fisher-Fischer. And they left their mother, Bessie Fisher, in Russia, Poland, wherever they come from. So there is an Ethel and there is a Hilda. And somehow they got like, became the same like, I don't know what happened.
So was
But-
that Hilda? So what, do you think that was Hilda?
Billy's mother was Hilda.
Yes,
Exactly.
definitely.
And I don't know whatever happened to Ethel. I mean, she's in like the 1925 census as still living with Morris and Bessie, and then she just disappears.
Huh. So she's the one, and there were how many? I always thought there were 5 siblings. How many were
No,
there, Judy?
Okay,
Or
there was Harry, Jenny, Ida, Frank, Hilda, Ethel, and there was Sam, who passed away very in his 20s. I think he had like tuberculosis or something like that. And so, and then I see in the 1915 census, there's a baby Frida. And I never see her again after that. So I don't know what happens there. And then Frank, I think, is born 1917 or something. And I kind of end there.
You know, could I tell us, so, oh, it's just only, so I'm Ellen Meshnick Immerman, and I don't have any kids. I got married at 42. I live in Atlanta, but I'm a New York, I mean, we moved when both of us got fired. I'm 74, so we both got fired around 66, and it was too expensive to live in Manhattan. So we chose Atlanta because it used to be my territory when I was in advertising sales. So I'll never fit in because I'm a New Yorker. It's the South. I don't have kids in a suburban neighborhood in Atlanta, right by Emory University. It's a great neighborhood. Half the people work for the CDC, which is walking distance, but it still is like, I'm always a New Yorker. So, but stories that I wanted to tell you, this is something my mother would tell, Martha would tell me about Billy and Hilda. Hilda, when the family came over to Boston, they found a job for Hilda in a house of a very wealthy WASPy family in Boston. She got pregnant by the son. They took her out. This is what my mother used to tell me, Hilda. They took her out. They married her to some older relative. And whoever that rich WASPy guy was would always be sending money for the child, which was Billy. It must be. No, this is my mother.
Wait, who was Sherman?
Sherman was her second husband.
Oh, it's
Billy's
the second.
second husband.
They lived in Billy's basement, Hilda
Yes,
and
yes, that I
Sherman.
remember, yes, but I didn't know how he came to,
He was a
Hilda.
second husband, yeah.
I see. Sorry to interject.
No,
Okay, so-
that's a story. That's what my mother told me. Oh, she always told me that story about Billy. Because Billy, if you know, remember Billy, she was a pistol. She was
Mhm.
full of life. You go to her house in Brooklyn, and I remember my mother didn't want me to eat the food because she left this big pots of food out cooking on
Right,
the stove,
right.
and you help yourself. My mother said, "Don't eat it. It's been cooking since last night." But she was so much fun.
She
Right.
was.
She used to work in carnivals.
Carnivals, right.
She
Her
was
and her
like a
son.
barker or something in the
Mhm.
carnivals, I remember.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because again, in my research, I have Hilda marrying a guy named Philip Katz in Boston. And Sophie's, Billy, when she was born, she was Sophie Katz. And then at some point she changes. Because when she married Sam Kadish, she was still Sophie. So at some point, I guess she just,
Maybe because of the carnivals, Billy was.
yeah.
I didn't know Billy was married before. I thought Sam Kadish was her.
So she was married again,
Yeah.
Billy. Billy married a second time,
I didn't know that.
after Sam. And
But
unfortunately,
that's like another thing. So I have Hilda and Billy, I find them in a 1920 census, no longer living with Philip. And then I lose them too. I don't know where they go.
Huh.
So
Well,
I'm telling you, I fall down the rabbit hole. Like I spend hours.
Right. That's great. But any other stories that you remember with the family? I just want to, I know that Grandpa Max whenever we went, and that was, I mean, he was the husband of Jenny. When we went to a bar mitzvah or wedding, he would do the kazatsky. Do you remember that? And then sometimes he would steal. I remember one way he stole some silverware and it was in his pockets. He's doing the kazatsky and the silverware is falling out of his pockets.
I remember him dancing, and then they put him to bed because he would get, drunk, and they carry him up to bed. Yeah.
You know what? I don't think I said who I am. Did I?
Well, sure, tell us.
Nah, you don't count.
Is that nice? Is that nice? Hi, I'm Sherry Fisher-Bernfeld. I guess I'm the oldest grandchild of Harry. And
I think I met you in Brooklyn,
I'm still in
on
Brooklyn.
Ocean Parkway. Did you live near Ocean Parkway?
Yes, in Brighton Beach.
That's right. I lived in Trump.
Oh,
And I think we used to put the kids in the carriages. We used to walk together, I think, sometimes.
Oh, so who was I in the carriage with? I must have been the kid in the carriage.
Some child.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
In between is like, because Lisa and I are a year apart, and then you guys are much younger than us. I
No,
think.
Sherry's gonna be 51.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's okay.
And,
I'm
Next week, not till
54.
next week, not till next week.
and I'm gonna be 48.
So you're
Okay, so
youngest.
okay, we are kind of the same age then.
Oh,
I
no,
always thought you were
I'm
younger than me.
74. Am I the-
She
oh, the
looks
oldest of
younger.
The cousin. Oh, no, Barbara's the oldest of the cousins, right? Barbara and I are like 6 months apart.
Right. We were born, yeah. You'll be 74 this year and I'll be 75. Yeah.
Okay, well, so just to finish, I
Yeah.
have two girls, Leah and Debbie. My oldest daughter is 19 and she's gonna be 19 on Tuesday. I'm sorry, she's only 18 now. She's gonna be 19 next week. She's spending the year in Israel learning. She's having a gap year in Israel right now.
How great, in Jerusalem?
It's Bayit Vagan, which is a suburb of Jerusalem.
Right.
And she actually just contracted COVID with the rest of the country. The entire country
Gosh,
has COVID, the entire country of Israel, and now she has it too, but she's okay. And my other daughter's 15, and she is probably studying because she only studies all day. So she's somewhere studying.
Good.
And we're still in Brooklyn, so we're still here. And about 3 or 4 years ago, I dragged my mother, Eileen Fisher, with me to.
That's who I walked with the carriages, your
Yeah.
mother. You were the
Yeah.
baby.
Yes,
That's
and I schlepped her. I found out where Morris and Bessie Fisher are buried. And I schlepped my mom to the cemetery. It's just not a good area. It's like sort of Queens, sort of Brooklyn. I forget what it's called. Cypress.
Glendale,
Where is it? I'm sorry?
Glendale.
I don't think so. I don't know. It was a really creepy area, and I schlepped my mother, and there was no like cemetery office to even ask where they were buried. And we were just like climbing over stones and graves, and we actually found their graves. They died like 1940.
Yes, because Jerry tells the story that he didn't have a bar mitzvah because Morris died.
Well, he had a bar mitzvah. He didn't get to have a party.
Oh, okay, he'd have a party.
He read Torah, but that was about.
So I remember my mother talking about Bessie and Morris, that he ruled the roost and she walked behind him and he had his own bedroom.
Yes, Jerry told me that too. Jerry
Yeah.
told me that.
Ugh.
Yeah, that he was like, I think the janitor of the synagogue or something,
Oh.
and that he was really mean to his wife and he beat everybody up. And this is Jerry's version. Let's assume.
Right, and you know, Betty, I remember your mother saying she wanted to talk about her childhood.
Yeah, I don't think it was, I don't know, just, I mean, again, I was pretty young. Well, I was what, 16 when my grandpa died, and he wasn't, he wasn't warm and fuzzy at all. And we really didn't have, I don't know if you know the story, he had 3 sons. And my father passed away first. He was 33, and then the middle brother, Philip, passed away a couple of months later. And then the older brother, Paul, passed away like 2 or 3 years later.
And
I knew
who
that
was in
story.
Israel?
I
One
knew
that was
that.
studying in Israel?
Yes.
That was Pinchas, Philip.
Mhm.
And he was married, but never had kids, and Paul never got married.
Mhm.
So whatever, trauma Harry went through, I mean, at this point, but he had nothing to do with us. Like we went to see him when he was dying. He never wanted to see us. And that was it. Like he died alone. It's sad, but
If it's any consolation, when I met him, he was a good man, a nice man, but he had his 3 sons.
Yeah,
were warm and healthy and alive,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
does something to somebody.
yeah, and then my grandmother passed away not long after that either.
Oh,
Right. I do remember meeting him though, and he was a nice man, but things happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I try. I named my son after my son's name is David Hirsch. Hirsch is
Uh-huh.
after Mike. So I get it. And
Right.
I let it go. But
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that he was a good person at some point.
Oh, yes. Well, things happen to him.
Yes,
That's
yes.
a hard thing to take, to lose your 3 children before you like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
And it also seemed, they definitely, Sam passed away. He was in his 20s, that brother. So, I think they all went through a lot of trauma.
Right.
So,
and did they all come over together? Or you were saying they came over
no,
separately?
Morris came first. And then this Ethel and Hinda. And then Bessie came with Harry, Jenny, Ida, and Sam.
Wow, can you imagine that? And that was what, 1903 or so?
No, it was,
1905, 6.
I think,
Oh, it was
I
later.
actually, I have everything. Don't ask me.
Like I've been through all of this with you, Judy. Like we had
Yeah.
our little parts and stuff, but it's been like years and years.
Yeah.
look.
I'm thinking like 1912-ish.
Well, so wait, Jenny was 12 years old or 13 years old, right? So Jenny was 12. Ellen, do you remember what year she was born?
Who?
Grandma Jenny. Does
Oh,
anybody
yes,
remember?
yes, Grandma with 1903
Okay, so then it was more like
or
1915.
1901, maybe 1901.
So it's probably like okay, so like 1914 or something.
Yes.
It was interesting because growing up, I always assumed that my grandparents, Frida and Harry, were born in Poland. And then when my older daughter was in 8th grade and we had this roots project, and that's how I found all this stuff. And it says Russia.
It's all Belarus, isn't it?
So Grandma.
It's everything.
Grandma's in Minsk. Does
Wondering.
Minsk sound familiar?
Yeah, well, I thought it was all Belarus. I would have problems saying it. But
I thought Grandma Jenny was born in Odessa in Russia.
okay, I don't even know.
We have to look at the map. How far is Odessa from Minsk?
Well, I'm saying because when I look at like documents, like it has Grodno, it has Vilna, it has like a million different, and like Vilna's Lithuania, Grodno is Belarus, then Poland, and so.
Are they close? Okay, so stupidly, I had this image of Russia in my head. My Russian geography is ridiculous. And I finally was looking at a map, and I hate to tell you that it was recently that I realized that Belarus was so close to Europe.
Yeah.
Like I, for some reason, thought it was like out near Alaska, Like, it was the stupidest revelation I've ever had.
I'm looking it up now. So, but that's interesting. So Odessa, let's see where Odessa, is Odessa a town? I'm so ignorant, town or a region?
It's a city, and I believe it's by the water.
Oh, it is. You're right. It's by the water.
The seaport
The
city,
Black
yeah.
Sea, the Black
Right.
Sea. Yeah.
You're right.
Maybe we should go on a family trip. We should do like.
We don't even know where to go.
And then Minsk.
Once we get there, we'll figure it out. Okay.
Yeah, But Lori, now is not a good time to go to Russia or any of those places.
So
Yeah.
Ellen and Betty, do you remember more recently Villanova Court?
Oh,
I
yes.
have a
Oh,
postcard.
yeah. Oh, I remember, Betty. You
Yeah.
and I made a connection when I was 16, I think. I used to follow you around
we
like
used
a
to walk
puppy
on the
dog.
We used to walk along the boardwalk sometimes, and the
Yeah, we
showers,
walked.
the showers were outside.
We're outside, yeah.
This was a
That's
rattle trap, like for Lisa, it was a rattle trap, wooden, it could have gone up in flames.
I know, right,
They
right.
called it a court, but there was a big, what would you call it, division going from the street to the beach, and then there were like quote unquote bungalows, but it wasn't, there were shacks 2 stories high, going attached to each other.
Yeah,
And
well,
all
one
the-
year,
And
one
there
year,
was
They had all the
no-
wiring on top. Remember all the wiring?
one year, Aunt Ida, she took the place upstairs, and Grandma and
Yes.
Grandpa had the place downstairs.
Good memory.
And I think Jerry had a place too across the way.
That's right, yes.
And we all used, it was crazy.
It was
yeah.
great though. And I remember going, there was, on Tuesday night, they had fireworks and you'd walk on the boardwalk to see
Right,
fireworks.
right.
And then they would sell, a vendor would be selling this bag of hot chickpeas. Did you remember?
I don't
that?
remember that.
name?
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my gosh.
You know, I'm kind of sorry that Mickey isn't involved in this because one time Grandma was watching him over the weekend and Barbara and I took him in his stroller. He was only about 18 months, maybe a little older. And we walked down the boardwalk and we got to this place. We were just fascinated by what was going on inside. And she walked in and then she yelled for me. I followed her in and we played this game and all. And then we came out and we decided to go back and see if we could get some more money from my mother. Well, we got back to the bungalow and we walked in and Grandma said, "Where's Mickey?"
was
We had
always
left
so
it
Yes.
in the stroller in front of the
So I have to tell him that story. Lillian and I went and visited him over the summer. So he's
Uh-huh.
like, I don't know if you guys know, Kara has a baby boy. He's like the ultimate grandpa now. He is like,
Oh, that's so good. That's so good to hear.
he babysits like twice a week. He's like just all about little baby Jean. Anyway, it's pretty adorable. But anyway, he's doing well. And
That's good.
I didn't talk to him about he's not into like family ties actually.
Yeah.
So
He's mad at me, so I was afraid to send anything to him.
yeah, he's mad at everybody except for me, and I don't know why. For some reason, he likes me like anybody else.
You know, the last time I saw your brother, Jonathan, he was 4 days old.
My
The last time I saw your
brought
brother.
him.
Bye, Shiny.
Sure,
She's
yeah.
talking about bye, Shiny.
I just went out to
When grandma,
hospital.
he had just been born and your mom had a nurse taking care of him, a big lady. And grandma and I took a subway and a bus to your apartment, to Aunt Joni's apartment to see the baby. 4 days
Oh.
old.
And he was just so beautiful, I heard.
Lori, where is he? How come he didn't come on?
Well,
Lori, how come he didn't come on? Where is he?
who? What? Johnny?
Johnny, yeah.
Oh, he's at work. So that's why I wanted to do it last week because I could have arranged and he would have been there for at least a while. Because last week he didn't have to be at work until a little bit later, but now he's at work now.
Yeah, and my Johnny is too. He wanted to come too. but
Yeah.
he's working
Yeah, he's
on-
gonna try to, your Johnny Land, I don't call him Johnny
Johnny
Land.
Land.
He was gonna try to take a break, but I'm just messing. And then Wayne didn't answer my message.
Well, that's Wayne.
Well, he might not have Facebook Messenger because.
Look around, we're all women. The men
That's
didn't,
right.
right?
Somehow
The men,
men-
they don't.
Somehow
they don't do
men,
this.
somehow men don't go for this.
Right.
So let me ask, sorry,
Totally.
no, go
I'm
on.
sorry. No, my brother's into all these things. He's very feminine. No, he's not very
He's kind
feminine.
of feminine.
He's
Your
an
mom.
artist.
I like Joan's face when she says that.
No, my mom's like, no, he's not. No, but he's an artist, so he's
Mhm.
with his wanting to, because I know that he's pretty close with Mary. You guys talk a lot, right, Mary?
Yeah, mhm, yeah.
So,
what-
He's
Lori,
very funny.
Lori, your son lives in Atlanta?
yes, yes, Ellen. Yes, he lives, yeah, but he doesn't live anywhere near Ellen. He lives near Georgia Tech.
Oh,
Which is-
'cause my son, John lives there too, you know.
You know, and
John,
look, yeah, and I want to, like, I keep telling Jonathan that he and his wife should need to come up and hang out in Asheville.
mhm.
Hopefully they will. I mean, because this is a vacation town. It's like a
Mhm.
total tourist mecca. So it'd be
Well, I
really-
lived there for a year. After my husband died, I lived there for a year with my son. And Ellen, if I'd known you were there, I would have tried to find you.
But I've only been here for 7 years.
Well,
Only-
this was just like 2 years ago.
Really?
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
he lives in Canton.
Oh, Canton, okay.
Did,
Mhm.
oh,
You're talking Newt, right, Barbara?
Hmm.
Your husband Newt? Is that
Yeah.
what's that? Okay, we didn't know any of this. I'm sorry.
he died?
Yes, he 2
Oh,
years.
that's bad.
So right around when my,
Joni met him. You met him, Joni, when my mom was sick. I think you met Newt.
you met Newt when Rhoda was sick.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Yeah, can I
Yeah,
ask a
we know.
question?
What was that? I'm sorry,
I said,
Sherry.
can I ask a question?
Of course.
Okay, so looking at my chart here, it seems like Betty is
Yeah.
the only grandchild of Morris and Bessie Fisher on this chat right now. The rest of us are great grandchildren, right?
She's the only, are you the only one left?
Who?
You.
Hey,
You're
who
the
is she
first cousin.
She's
Thank
talking
you.
about the best, who is she talking about?
Okay, so all Bessie, because your great
Great
grand,
grandma,
yeah.
my brother.
and Jay, so Jay and Betty are the
And
only
me.
ones left of that generation. Are you the
Yeah.
only one of that generation, Betty?
I
From
guess so, yeah.
Of the
yes,
first
that's
cousins.
right, Yes.
Yeah.
So,
So what
So
do you
my
remember?
Well, no, we don't know about Frankie's children.
That's my question.
I
Okay,
have never, nothing, we don't know.
No, well, let's find out. And also, but tell us, Betty, what do you remember of your grandparents?
I never really knew them.
How come? Why?
I think my grandfather had died before I was born, and I think I went
he
over to
died
their
right
house
after.
Maybe once, and I really don't.
Well, are
remember.
you named after Bessie? What's your
I
Hebrew
might be
name?
after my father's mother too. I don't
Oh.
know, they both were B's somewhere, because in my
Okay.
father's family, everybody was Bonnie Ann, Barbara Ann, Beverly Ann, another Beverly Ann.
I thought
Bonnie,
your
they-
father's mother was Anna.
yes, no,
Okay.
but they must have all had B's
Yeah,
also.
that's-
No, I don't
Oh,
know.
That's where the end comes.
Well, my
Well,
middle name is Ann. See, everybody had a middle name Ann also. We all had B's and Anns.
Wow.
And then they ran out of B's, so they don't have two Beverly Anns. And my father's father,
Well,
my father's side.
Sherry,
Yes.
wasn't Ida at your bat mitzvah?
I was there. I sat at a table with Joni, my mother, and 2 or 3 Orthodox women who had 6 kids, and they were so calm. And my mother kept saying, "Look how calm they are with 6 kids." You know, it was a great. I remember the women sat, and we loved it. Do you remember?
I
You know what,
remember
Sherry?
there was a wedding. I remember either a wedding or a bar mitzvah where the women sat on one side. I think it was a wedding. And the men sat on the other side.
Was that my mother's wedding?
No. Your mother
There is
was-
a
Oh,
picture,
look,
No,
Harry or Judy, do you know, there's a picture of my grandfather, my mom, and your
Yeah.
mom. What is
Yeah.
that from?
I
Was
think
that-
she said it was your brother's bar mitzvah, your old,
Oh, that makes sense, yes, okay.
yeah.
But Mark's bar
You want to
mitzvah,
get
not-
on TV?
Yeah.
You
But I
wanna-
remember Sherry, at your bat mitzvah, my mother went to, there was an old, I don't know if he was a rabbi, but you know, very Hasidic looking with gray hair. She shook his hand,
Ah,
you know.
Well, you know
she-
what? The
You're
sad,
not
the
supposed
sad,
to touch, and she, you know,
Right.
but I remember that she got into trouble, but we had a great time. We had such a
well,
good time there.
the problem is that my mother couldn't afford a fancy photographer. So she had her friend, Erwin Hershkowitz, take the pictures. And you know, they all got rooms. I can't even look at a picture to say, well, you were there. I don't even have a picture of nothing. So I
that's
guess you were there. You must have looked great. I don't know.
were any of you at my parents' wedding?
oh.
Who said
Mom,
that?
did you-
Who?
Did you go to Eileen's, when Eileen and Mel got married, did you go to their wedding?
I think I did. I think I did. I'm sure I did.
She probably
Who was the wedding
did.
with?
What year would that have been though?
1969, March.
Yeah, she must have been there.
I was at a wedding with your parents when the band died, when the band fainted. Was that wasn't?
Who fainted, but not at their wedding.
But you know who probably fainted? Probably Grandpa Harry, because
He
he was
hated my
marrying my
mother.
mother.
He hated her.
So he fainted,
Was
yeah.
that Eileen and Mel's wedding?
I don't.
Did your father have you heard any stories? where your
No.
father-
No.
That might have been something they didn't want you
I
to
think
know.
that was-
I don't think that was you guys, your parents. But thank you for that, Mom.
I think it was a friend of, it was 3 weeks before we got married.
But so you can't,
Oh, wait a minute, 3 weeks before.
Something popped up on here.
that was not their wedding.
It wasn't, no.
Look who
Uh,
came up to be-
You would, but you
I
don't,
don't remember. It was at your wedding, but I'm not
not their
sure.
wedding.
Yes.
Their parents' wedding.
I'm trying to get him to come over to the thing.
What was that?
Your grandchild? Yeah, because this is all her great greats, what, great?
No,
can
I
tell us-
have, who me?
Two.
I have, no, there's a cat that wants to get on TV, wants to get on the.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
Sweet.
still a,
Barbara, are your grandchildren there right now? Wasn't Kellis just, or was that Leah?
No, I have three, my three grandchildren are here.
I want to
And
see.
then-
Wait, I want to see, I haven't seen them since they were little. Like Esau is the same age as my son.
Tell them to come over so I can.
Esau and Hayden are the same. They used to play together at my parents' house.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah,
He's he's in nursing school now.
I heard, Frida told me, we were texting you.
Yeah,
Where are they? Can you get them in here? Or are they like,
he's
No,
studying,
right.
but I don't know, they're kind of camera shy. But they just adopted a cat and the cat is sitting here next to me trying to see where the voices are coming from. He's right here. He wants to get on and I'm trying to tell him, well, come on, but he's just,
and Lillian's at work, otherwise I'd have her.
And Barbara, where are you living now?
I live in Dania Beach.
Oh, that's right, you're in Florida, okay.
Right.
So we have Florida, what, North Carolina,
Long
Georgia,
Island, Long
You're-
Island.
Long Island.
Jersey.
Esther.
Barbara,
Barbara's
Barbara,
in
she's in
Florida.
Florida, yeah.
Yes.
Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Fredericksburg.
I'm
Ellen,
South
the next
Jersey.
time I go to Atlanta, I'll look you, maybe we'll
Tell
get
us in
together.
advance. Yeah, tell us, you give us.
Wait, you know-
advance, yeah.
Barbara, I will come down to Atlanta to meet you because there were so many times in Florida where I really wanted to meet you. Like, it's just so weird to me that I have a first cousin that I've never met.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. I never met you. Maybe we'll all get together in Atlanta then.
That'd be really fun. And Mary, I met you, it was like grandma's unveiling or something. So it doesn't really count. I was 7
Something
years
like
old.
that. You were little then, yeah.
The last time I saw, is that possible that I haven't seen you in, what
God
would
knows
that
how many
be?
years.
That's 44 years. No, that's more than that. 47, gosh, okay.
You were
So I-
little.
But I know it would be great, like, to have an Atlanta reunion.
Well, when our mother was so sick, your mother and your father used to come down to Miami, at least once a month, sometimes more often.
Oh, once a
It is
week at
her.
least. Once
Once
a
a-
week, Mary. Yeah.
It was because when I was pregnant with Hayden and we weren't telling anybody yet, and I let my mom tell your mom, because it was.
Yeah.
Right, it was like August of '99, so it was.
That's when she passed, I think.
Yeah,
99.
no, I remember it was on Aunt Martha's birthday, so.
I remember my
Right
mother,
on her birthday, on
my
that.
mother
very
flew
day.
down, I think it was too late or something, she
Yeah.
landed.
Right.
Yeah.
That was sad.
But, and Lisa, so Lisa, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I really haven't met a lot of these people. I mean, unfortunately, I just haven't.
We had
Um,
lunch together though, remember? You and I had lunch together like 20 years ago. I was in advertising sales and you were thinking about getting into it. Remember, it was
Which I did.
It was a Japanese restaurant on East, like 62nd Street.
I actually did get into advertising. And I was in advertising until I stopped working 24 years ago.
Wow.
I work now in a temple, but I'm not in advertising.
She takes after her mother. She doesn't like to work too long. Well, now she works off.
I am working. I work in a temple office. I'm the farthest thing from being religious, but I work in an office. Yeah, but no, I mean, I don't know a lot of the people that you're talking about. They're, distant relatives to where I am, I guess.
One more question? So Morris and Bessie Fisher were Orthodox?
Yeah, my mother said they were.
So the kids started out Orthodox, that generation.
I guess, what do you think? I think so.
I think they were, but my mother said that her father used to read the Torah all the time and make wine. And
It's probably
And
during
he-
Prohibition.
and she never really spoke about her childhood because she said he was like a tyrant. And she just was very unhappy. She had a very unhappy childhood.
Mhm.
And she never wanted to discuss it really.
Well, one other thing, when I was doing research and I found Harry, my grandpa's marriage license with my grandmother Frida, and it said Harry divorced, like he had a wife before my grandmother.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's some other little Fishers somewhere. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I thought that was interesting, but you could spend years looking up all this. It could just keep you occupied. I would get migraines from it. I had to stop. I couldn't do it anymore.
No, there's just so many siblings. I have one sibling. That's the average is 1 to 2 siblings now. These people had like 5, 6 siblings, and obviously the offspring it's a long tree.
A lot of fucking.
And I remember, I think with Lori or Judy, talked about the sister that ran away or something, right? One, was it, you thought it was Ethel? And I once looked him, I did like Ethel Fisher, and I saw like a chorus girl from the 1920s named Ethel Fisher. Something, was her name Ethel?
Yeah.
Or it disappeared. Who knows?
So I don't know. I'm just still confused because they're English names and they're Jewish names, and they had even my grandfather when he came on the boat. So I couldn't find his name, and he's got some weird Jewish name, Harry, on the boat. Instead of like Hirsch something, it's like Gersh with a G. I mean,
Well, because there's no H in Polish. It's G.
Oh, okay.
Oh, look
Even
at
trying to
that.
find them on the Ellis Island is impossible because Fisher spelled 18 different ways. It's impossible.
So I don't know how to really spell it. Use it with the SH or SCH.
We had C. We grew up with a C.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, but-
Did they live on the Lower East Side?
Yes.
Yeah.
I went 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I went and I took the census with me and I looked up everyone's building. Like my grandmother, my grandfather, and I found a lot of the buildings are still there on the Lower East Side.
Wow.
That was interesting. If you ever, want to take a tour.
Wow. That's really incredible. But they lived, and then when Jenny and Max moved to the Bronx, I mean, right? Did they all, who moved to the Bronx? Just Billy moved to
Wasn't it-
Brooklyn?
Oh, did they all go to the Bronx, or was it just our
No,
grandparents?
my mother never went to the Bronx. My mother went to Brooklyn.
That's interesting.
I think Jenny was the only one in the Bronx.
Oh, interesting.
I wonder
On
if that
Fox
building's still
Street.
there. Fox Street,
Oh,
right?
it is still there.
It is.
So 763 Fox Street is
Yeah.
like
Look it up. It's a very poor neighborhood. It's like some.
What is it? But, okay, so you remember the courtyard, Barbara? Oh, you remember were you at 763 Fox Street, Barbara?
Yes.
So that had that big that courtyard now, I don't remember what it is, but it's all like, it's a big gate,
Very big hills.
but I forgot what it is. It's some sort of,
It's like a clinic or something for poor people, right?
yeah, it's something.
Look it up. Look it up. 763 Fox Street. Bronx.
Yeah. And that, so, and it's crazy because Johnny found all these pictures. He actually found the photo of the house my mother grew up, which was the exact opposite of where my father grew
That was
up.
in Bensonhurst, right?
Right, Parkway house. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen
Oh,
that.
that
house.
was a,
But anyway, it just was weird to see. It was like this huge mansion in the middle of all these apartment buildings, and that house was amazing. Anyway,
it used to be a playhouse.
yeah, you could find all
London
these
Playhouse.
really cool old pictures from like the 1940 census. I don't know what they did. Like somebody did a project where they photographed every building in Manhattan in the 1940s. Anyway, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Just, does anyone have pictures of like their parents' or grandparents' weddings where some of
I
the
have a picture
siblings,
of my parents' wedding.
Oh, with your family though, right?
with
could
any
show
like
it-
siblings?
Show it to you. Wait a second. Let me show it to you.
Wait,
It's on my-
I would love to see that picture because that's like
Let
my
me show it to you.
That would be,
Taking it over to the wall.
I'm gonna look through. So like even a wedding and a bar mitzvah, and they have the table.
It's all the way up there.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Oh, wait.
Uh,
No.
Not yet, not yet.
Let me
Oh,
put the
look.
light on. Wait.
Be careful.
I see the smoke detector.
Oh, she's going for,
Oh, okay. Here,
I
wait.
have a picture that Uncle Jerry
on my
made
wall.
for me from
Wait, I'm-
1944.
We just see the wall. We don't see the picture.
Tell me
I'm gonna-
if you want to the left or right.
Move
Betty, you're
the
making us
camera.
talk.
There you go. Close, little further back. Go back a little more.
Oh,
There you
nice.
go.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Ah,
look at that. Oh, my
that's
God.
Morris.
Who is that?
That's my
Morris and
mother and
Ida.
father.
Oh, good. I don't know if I could make it.
Gorgeous.
Uncle Morris was always handsome, so.
Well, you know,
I'm
so
like,
I
he-
think Betty,
he and Grandpa looked
Ida
exactly
was the
alike.
prettiest.
Uncle Morris was so much better looking than
Good
Grandpa.
grow.
Please, so your grandfather was better looking than my grandfather. Don't you think?
Picture of my father, there was a picture of Grandpa when he graduated.
It looks
from
like
medical-
Johnny. Grandpa Harry looked just like Johnny
No,
looks just like.
John, I thought it was Uncle Morris's picture graduating.
Well, they
from-
had the same Lickman eyes
Wait,
and all that.
but we haven't heard from Mary. Mary, do you have any memories?
Oh, Mary.
Mary? Any more
Yes.
memories to share? You always have these good memories. You have a great you know, you always come up, every time, I don't speak to you that often, but you come up with something wonderful.
Well, the biggest, the happiest days of my childhood were spent in Coney Island. Grandpa would take us, all four of us, to the Fascination and, to all the rides and all that. And then he'd get us a Nathan's hot dog. Now, who do you think dimed us when we went back up? Grandpa would say, "Don't tell your grandmother you ate out, you ate a hot dog." Who do you think told on us? Your brother.
But he was the
He
youngest.
even couldn't wait to
David?
get in the door. He couldn't wait. Grandma, guess what? And she'd say, "Mendel, what's the matter with you? You're trying to poison them." But, yeah, those were the happiest days going to Coney Island every summer. But the reason I knew that about Odessa was Grandma and I would both get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and walk down to the water. You went under the boardwalk and down there, and she would stand there and spray water on herself, and she would tell me how it reminded her so much of the beach in Odessa. So
Oh, look. That's great.
that's where, yeah, that's where I got that from.
I found something. I'm sitting in my
And how about your
basement.
mother? Your mother told us the Shloimi stories. Remember that?
What what do you remember?
Your mother, Ellen, she told us the stories about Shloimi.
Right, because that's how she got my brother to eat. My brother didn't like to eat.
Yeah.
She would tell him the stories, and they were with chapters. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but the chapter was between each spoonful. So you'd say, and it was always a cliffhanger. So Shlomi was walking on the railroad tracks, and my brother would say, "So eat the spoon, so she'd have to eat it. And then what happened? Then the train was coming. What happened? Have another spoon. And those were the Shlomi. And so Shlomi was run over by trains. He fell, all these happened to Shlomi. I can't
Hey,
wait to
Shlomi deserved it. Let me tell
So
you.
did you guys grow up with the flying Gatka? Was that like a family story? The flying Gatka?
That was a sort of dome.
Daddy
Daddy told that story to Mickey Mark.
Okay, but I didn't know if that came from Grandpa Max or not. Flying Gatka. Okay, so now so
Daddy did.
okay, all right, Sherry.
Oh, yes, hi. I'm
Wait, so I
sitting-
wanted to. What did you find?
I'm sitting in my basement and I found This is my father's bar mitzvah album.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
my gosh.
Now I have a picture. Okay, well, I have two pictures. One I guess is from my grandmother Frida's side and one is from my grandpa Harry's side. I'm gonna flip it around and I think this is grandpa Harry's side of the family at my father's bar mitzvah. Let me see if I could figure out a way to, oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
Okay, do you see anybody?
Pixelized. So it's hard. Hey,
Oh.
Sherry, is that something that you
I think
can
I see, yeah.
you
Could
have
you-
it where?
Could you photograph it and send it to us?
Yes, I don't know if I could do it right now,
Oh,
but
I
I
see.
will do it.
Sammy Kadish is the bold
I
one.
think
on the
I'm in
back.
that picture. I'm in that
Oh,
picture. I
wow.
think.
What year is this picture?
Um,
So it would be like 19.
56?
I think that's me over there. next
56.
to Max.
That's Martha. I think that's Martha. With
Where
the
are
you,
low
Mom?
cut.
Down.
That's
I'm there
Beverly,
next to Max.
that's Beverly Meister's wedding.
Why would that be Beverly Meister's
Because I have
wedding?
that picture.
Turn it
No,
over.
she just said it was her father's bar
I
mitzvah
can't see it.
album.
Wait a minute, I
It
can-
was her father's bar mitzvah
Oh,
album.
here's what I'm gonna do. Everybody,
Yeah, I see
Everybody
my
stop
mother and
fighting.
father. I see my
Stop
mother
fighting.
and father.
Yeah, but
Lift
think
it
about
up a
it,
little higher.
I'm gonna take a picture of it and I'm
You
gonna
can't s-
email it to the email thread that we're
Yeah,
all
But,
following.
and we could
That would be
identify.
perfect.
Not
that would
right
be
now, when we're done.
And then I'll just
That's
Okay.
great.
their album that I could photograph.
You don't want to come in?
Betty, I think, were you sitting on the floor? Because you would have been.
No, I'm standing on top next to my mother.
Okay, because there's a
Standing.
picture somewhere.
My
where-
father is there, my mother and father, and I'm standing next to my mother. I had very short hair, I think then.
In my hand.
Who's the little girl sitting next to Grandpa Harry? Who's this?
See, I
girl?
can't see this good enough.
I
to
would have
watch.
been, at 1956, I would have been 8. But, oh, that fat girl is me. That's sitting next to my mother. You see that?
Yeah, that's
My mother next to me. You know, she had like a velvet
Oh.
black dress.
Is
Okay,
my
I have to
father
put-
and Helen in this picture? Like my father and his ex-wife would be in this picture. Maybe.
Let's see the picture again.
Oh.
Can you get, is there anything to really?
Arm.
I don't see the picture.
It's hard to say. It's hard.
Unless
to-
he's in the back. Is that Jerry in the
And
back?
in the
Okay, listen, listen,
Oh,
listen.
I
I'm gonna
think that-
take a picture of it and I'll. put
Oh,
it
on
the email.
Facebook. Sherry, did you put this on Facebook? Is that why?
No,
No, okay. My mom seems to think she's seen it, but I
Because
think
I can't see very well.
Well,
I don't
she's
have my
good. She's
sight
gonna
ready.
email a picture.
I'll take it, when we're done, I'll take a picture of it and send it.
That's
That would be,
terrific. That's amazing.
Like, I have it on Facebook.
Mama, she never put it on
I
Facebook.
don't know, maybe I don't remember, I don't know.
Mom, you probably have your wedding album. Don't you have your wedding album that has a lot of?
Yes,
these
I
pictures?
have it, but yeah, I have it upstairs.
Can you scan it? Lisa, can I task you with that the next time you are at your mother's house? Can you take pictures of like, because remember, that's my mother's side of the family and my
Right.
father's side of the family.
Mom, you still have your album, right?
Of course, I have all the albums. We had a picture
Yeah.
made for my mother, we had a picture made for Daddy's mother, and you know, then mine, I have 3 albums for my wedding.
Okay.
I remember your mother, Ida was beautiful. You remember?
Beverly,
Ida was just like a tall and gorgeous.
She actually wasn't that tall.
She wasn't, I remember her taller than me, but
was
she was,
Richie.
you know, when you look at Morris and Betsy, they were nice looking people. They had beautiful features.
He was much taller than her, it looks like.
But he was still short.
No, though.
Either she was very short or he was very tall.
I think he was short. I think they're both short.
But they had nice features.
Maybe then he was standing on a box.
I
Wait,
mean,
so
we're
my-
pretty short.
My husband's here if anybody wants, what are you waving at? You're totally behind.
I want to say hi.
But no, my
Come
husband has
on.
cousins. Come meet some of my cousins. Doesn't matter.
Hello,
Here,
cousins.
Duck, we could just make it. Can you duck? You're over here. Okay, so that's
I have
her,
mine here too.
Barbara, and you know Ellen, and Beth, and then you know Judy, and there's Judy's husband who we haven't met. Hi.
Jason.
Betty?
Cousin Sherry. Betty was at our wedding. Our
Yes.
wedding. And then Lisa, cousin Lisa, who you haven't met but should. Okay, you remember Wayne? Of course you remember Wayne, because
Yes.
Wayne. That's Wayne's sister. Wayne's little sister, right there. Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Thank
I,
you.
Bye, Carl.
Sorry, I had to torture him from.
So anyway, do you want to continue or should we finish? It's 1 hour. I think it was great. Do you want to do this again?
Definitely.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yes.
How often?
Whatever works.
Let's do some
Tell me.
research. Maybe we can do some research. There's also a video. I don't know how many people would be interested. I don't know if Barbara has seen this. There's a video of Aunt Martha and my dad.
Yeah, you sent it to me. I actually showed it to my mother, and my mother was like hysterical.
It's the funny thing. Barbara, have you seen it, and Mary?
Oh, I've seen it, yeah.
You have seen it, because it's, Barbara, I'll send it to you. It's just the two of them, and they were both such amazing storytellers, telling
Yeah.
these ridiculous family stories. And have you, so Steve wrote it, have you guys heard the song that Steve wrote about Grandpa Max? The Tough Jews song?
No.
So Steve, Ellen's little brother, wrote the most hilarious song about the like Jewish mafia and Grandpa Max.
Oh, okay. I'd love to hear that. Yeah, send
So I
it.
should send you that too, because
Okay.
that was, I remember him, like, after he wrote it, he came to Asheville and he actually played it on guitar for my dad. And I'm like, Dad, is it true? And he's like, no, that's not true. And then he was like, yeah, it was true. And all the grandpa Jewish mafia stories. were just-
It was true. Grandpa Max was very tough
It's
guy.
tough, right?
And Uncle Walter, I guess, was his brother, Alta, who was the.
And he was
Listen.
him. He was, he was,
Oh.
but my mother always wouldn't, she said she never knew if they had to get married because they were pregnant. She said they were pregnant because she was born when they were like 18 and 19.
Oh, but then they fell in love after that, right?
But it lasted all those years. But
Was
one of
it
the things my I think it was my husband remembers. Well, Mickey used to tell the story. So Jenny and Max would sit at the table and he'd say, Jenny, Selsa,
Yeah.
little Mark, who was a kid, Mickey, he was a child, he thought that was her name. Jenny Selsa.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I remember
Jenny
whenever
yeah.
we went to Jenny's house, Max would be sitting there and he would say to her, Jenny, close the door, or Jenny, bring me this. He would sit
Jenny,
there.
bring me eat. Bring me
That's
eat.
right, and she'd be go and get it.
Well, I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to be better prepared next time. I have things like grandma's gefilte fish recipe.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Oh,
Wow.
If anyone is interested in making their own gefilte fish. And I've got a bunch of postcards here from Villanova Court.
Oh,
And,
great.
They had postcards.
Amazing.
Yes, yes.
So I was only 7 when Grandma passed away, so I love to hear these stories because I never got to know them. Like, I just know that they were amazing people.
At the very, at the end, when they were still in good health and Max was still working, Max used to drive, he used to park his car in like a garage that was, they were living in Brooklyn, that high rise. And he offered a ride to a lady who worked at the Daily News. My grandmother found out about it. She showed up one day and said, "What is this? This is your girlfriend?" And she embarrassed Max in front of the garage. So he slunk away. He never drove the woman again. I mean, she was fierce.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where we get it from.
Mm.
Okay, so I'm gonna send everyone a picture on the email thread,
Good.
that you could all forward it.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm
Has
gonna,
anybody ever seen the movie Defiance?
A
No.
long time ago,
Liv Shriver and
with the Bilski
Daniel
brothers.
Craig?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Okay, our grandfather knew the Bilecki's because they came to the United States and opened a trucking company.
wow.
And you know, he was younger than them, but you know, he knew exactly who they were. And then I watched this movie a couple of years ago, and I said, "My God, that's the people that Grandpa Max knew."
Wow.
Well, wait a second, that's part of my other side of Joan's side of the family with the Belskis. Cousin Beverly's son-in-law, I think, was part of the Belsky family.
Bilski.
Some more
We
dark.
want to talk about some tough Jews. You ever get a chance? It's called Defiance.
Yes, he
Oh,
was
he's the way-
my cousin's son-in-law. I think
Wait, I
was
think
part
I
of that family. Do you remember
Wasn't he-
Joan? Joan, do you remember? They used to talk about him in the, they moved in that, he was in that.
We didn't read the book.
That's right, yes. They made a
Science, that-
movie. That was part of Beverly's family, the
Okay.
one that married Margot.
Wasn't Jared
If it
Kushner's
wasn't so-
grandmother part of them also?
We had Jewish mafia too on
Hey,
this side.
by then.
Yay.
I didn't know
We
about
had
it.
Jewish,
I
I-
didn't know.
this is the story of a Max and Jenny story. of the
What about Ray
mink
Stern?
Are we boring the non-Max and Jenny grandchildren though?
No, we're good.
coat. Max had friends who were in the mafia, Jewish mafia, and Jenny and he would clear out of their apartment and let them store the stolen merchandise overnight. So one night, Mary Beth, do you remember this story, Mary Beth?
Yeah.
So one night it was mink coats. So Max said to Jenny, I'm gonna get you a mink coat. So he snuck into the apartment full of mink coats. He took one of those, those big bureaus that, they didn't have closets, so they had these big
Yeah.
chests. He pulled it away, hung a nail in, hung a mink coat there, chest back. The next morning they go and say, let's find the mink coat. When he pulls it away, there's a herring hanging on it. They had gone into the kitchen and gotten a herring. They never trusted him again. But Grandpa Max would say to me, if you'd say, Grandpa, buy me something, he'd say, I'll give you a herring. And that's how it started.
Oh.
So my daughter has a mink coat that belonged to Grandma Jenny.
Great.
Is that the coat?
Uh-oh.
No, but no, so
No,
she-
that's what Frida has is the
I know.
stole, Barbara, not the coat.
No,
No,
this
but
is
that-
the coat.
they
This is the
didn't,
coat.
in other words, they found the coat that he hid.
Oh.
But I know they had a furrier in downtown. I used to go with my mother and and they would buy, they had a furrier, I forgot the name, and they would buy coats there.
So Barbara, okay, so there's pictures of grandma wearing that mink, that big, I don't know what it was, what kind of animal. That's the one. Like
She
it
has
wasn't-
it, she never wears it, but she keeps.
Oh, no,
it.
why would she? But,
Nice.
I mean, that's cool that she has it.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool that we have all these things.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna end it. It's like a little bit over an hour. We'll do this again.
Okay.
We have
Definitely.
emails. I think it was a success. Do you?
Yes.
If
Yeah,
anyone's
Ellen.
ever in South Florida,
Ellen, thank you so much.
call
My
us.
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank you, Ellen.
My pleasure.
You know
Yes,
what?
thank you for organizing this.
My pleasure. I'm so glad you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna stop recording. I'm